Hi, everybody. I hope most of you are doing well, though I know many of you are not. And to whom am I referring who are not? The TikTok content creators, of course. As a result of being blindsided in the area of your earnings for the content you create and the views you attract, it appears a major injustice has been leveled against you. But I want to offer you a ray of hope. Your despair and panic over what has happened are understandable, but they may be a little premature. Let's see if I can familiarize you with what is happening and where we stand. So first, here is why your concern for your overall future as a content creator may be a bit hasty. As some of you already know, a portion of TikTok is in the process of being sold to the USA. Did you notice I said a portion and in the process? That means that the deal hasn't been finalized yet. The TikTok agreement between the US and China is set to close on January 22, 2026, though this too is not written in stone. It depends upon regulatory approvals from both the US and Chinese governments having been agreed upon, signed off on, and been put in place. In this deal, that is valued at approximately $14 billion, TikTok's U.S. business will be bought and restructured by American and global investors to comply with U.S. national security laws. Investor ownership in the new entity, known as the TikTok USDS Joint Venture Limited Liability Company, will be led by Oracle, Silver Lake, MGX, and other U.S.-aligned investors. As the USA and its partners in the deal haven't taken over yet, it is highly unlikely that they are the guilty parties in the extreme pay reductions to content creators. Consider this. TikTok ownership runs a very strategic and profitable business model that has generated extreme amounts of revenue. Now they have to give up a part of their business that accounts for the second largest income amount. China still generates the most, though they are not on the list. Though purely speculative, my guess is that the owners of TikTok are salvaging as much of the U.S. earnings as possible before handing over to the USA partnership, which might cause China to have to hand over U.S.-generated earnings as well. Why do I believe I am correct? Because such actions happen to be standard company policy when it comes to merges, downsizing, buyouts, and such, globally. And, in case you are wondering, my knowledge stems from research and having gone through this before when I held cryptocurrency on the Binance exchange starting in 2017, which was initially based in China before moving to Japan. In 2019, Binance US was created as a response to increasing U.S. regulatory scrutiny of the global cryptocurrency exchange, Binance. In other words, that was far too much money for the USA not to get their share. So they did the same thing to Binance, what they are now doing to TikTok. As I didn't move all of my crypto from my Binance account to my Binance US account, I took a heavy loss, just as many of you TikTok content creators are doing now. So I understand what you are going through, as this is not my first rodeo. However, Binance remains the largest cryptocurrency exchange with nearly $200 billion in assets. So it didn't go away and still manages the largest amount of cryptocurrency in the world. And TikTok isn't going away either. And neither should you. Well, not yet, or not completely. Here's why. The USA is a capitalist country, meaning it is mainly about money and getting as much of it as possible. What does all of this mean to you as a paid content creator? It means that you shouldn't underestimate yourselves and what you bring to the table. You just need to dig deeper into your capitalist side. TikTok creators in the US and Canada were receiving up to 90% of subscription revenue following the October 1, 2025 update, including a 70% base share after App Store fees and a potential 20% performance bonus based on engagement and audience activity. Relative to that information, it may seem like content creators are eating up a large share of TikTok revenues, but consider this. Those who provide the TikTok service capitalize on its user base and creator content through multiple revenue streams, primarily by monetizing attention and data. The platform generates income through TikTok ads, branded hashtags, branded effects, in-app purchases, and commissions from content creators. TikTok is valued at over $100 billion, with some estimates suggesting it could reach $200 billion if its proprietary algorithm is included. While they paid out $8.7 billion to creators in 2025, with projections reaching $12 billion in 2026. That's less than 10% of earnings. The USA, Canada, and others want their share of the money, and that is what this is all about. The fact is, you were already getting paid pennies compared to the amounts of money you were generating before they pulled the payout plug on you. So what is your next step? Because you are still relevant to TikTok's growth and source of income. I have a few ideas I believe can work to your monetary benefit aside from being a continued TikTok content creator. However, I am going to end here with the following information. This wasn't my intended next video release, but I respect your efforts and livelihood, and I know that many of you are struggling to make ends meet. So when I saw the frustration and panic, I decided to do this one before the sequel to the astrological new year. Before I continue with what I believe your next step should be concerning the TikTok dilemma, I want to say this clearly and honestly. I've never been someone who asks for likes or comments just for the sake of it. But this information takes time, experience, and a willingness to speak plainly, especially when people are panicking. So, if this helped calm you, gave you some hope, or offered you a clearer way of thinking about what's happening with TikTok and the USA right now, I'm asking you to show that support. Let me see it in the likes, and let me hear from you in the comments. When this video reaches a solid level of engagement, I'll release the sequel, where I break down what I believe content creators should be preparing for next. This isn't pressure, it's participation, and if we're going to move forward, we should do it together. And I hope you understand that the more content creators TikTok loses, the more revenue they lose. You can bank on that and sleep on it too. See you next time.